Harry Styles is conquering the mediums, ladies and gentlemen. He got music, he got acting, he got the gays, he got the gays too. But specifically, in this movie, My Policeman. Now, My Policeman kind of stars, of course, you know, the big, fabulous Harry Styles. This is probably the reason why you're going to even watch this movie. The only reason, otherwise you would have never even heard of it. But it stars Harry Styles and assorted guests. So it basically shows these characters. Tom, which is played by Harry Styles. I promise you, this movie will make sure you know Harry Styles is in it. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. But Tom, Marion, Patrick. It's kind of this trio of friends where Tom and Marion are a couple, and then they have a third friend coming along. Now, this isn't a throuple. This isn't like an open relationship, monogamous, polyamorous. No, this is just a couple who is friends with someone. And that's how they act. They go out together. Ironically, Marion and Patrick, which are not together, have more in common than Tom and Marion, who are actually in the relationship. So before we go into diving exactly how this movie is and kind of pulling it apart, there is an insane critic and audience divide in this. Like, I'm usually when this happens, the audience tends to be more right, and this is not the case for this one. I'm not saying the critics are correct. I'm saying they're actually evenly split. I think the audience and the critics have both valid points in this movie, why the audience loved this movie so much. They have like over a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the critics have it at like 50 something, or maybe even less, or just like at a mediocre level. And they both have different things that show why they're both right. Let's look into the plot. It's likable. Like, the plot is likable, but it's simple. Like, I don't want to reveal too much of the movie, so let's just put the plot kind of like in a simple tense like this. So Tom kind of meets Marianne, and then they hit it off really well, and then they want to date and get together. But all of a sudden, they meet Patrick, and it kind of sends Tom into a little whirlwind because he's starting to get all these feelings that he's not expecting. All the tingly feelings though down there, you know what I'm talking about. But yes, he starts to get that for him as well, and he doesn't really know what to do about it, especially since this is in the like older time frame, 1950s, 1960s, 1940s, one of those, where I think homosexuality was criminalized. So it kind of just focuses on looking back at the relationship that these three had, because it starts when they're old and it's a flashback into the past, and it's just basically just showing the relationship these three had as friends together, and all the ups and downs and the turns and twists and turns. Now, the characters themselves, like, obviously when I go to the main man himself, you know, it's very interesting to see Harry Styles act, because he has like great moments and not great moments. And it goes to show that his chops are like starting to become there for acting, but they're not exactly fully all the way. And if you watch this movie, you can kind of see it. Whereas like some moments I'm like, over dramatic. But others I'm like, wow, you know, I actually feel it. I actually feel like I actually was like immersed in the thing, and it was great. Now the other actors, like, they're good enough. Like, there's nothing like exceptional about anyone. The romance throughout the movie is like, it's good enough. It's like mediocre, like slightly above mediocre in the level. It doesn't hit me in a way that other stronger romance movies would hit me. Like, here's the thing with this movie though, overall. This type of movie, like, I've been on dates with girls who like these types of movies, and it's kind of like a 50 Shades of Grey effect, where even if it's not necessarily super up to par, it will still garner a lot of female audience because of this is the type of movie it is, and because they like the type of movie. It caters to the audience. So the thing is though, there are movies that do this and they do it better. Like, the main problem with the plot is like the summary that I gave you of the plot, yeah, that's it. Like, I didn't even spoil anything, but there's nothing to spoil. Like, it's just linear plot progression. Like, sure, they might throw a ruffled feather here and there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, something dramatic is happening, because they do. But like, it doesn't feel like there's so much. Like, sure, there might be mild tension, but it's like, you know the plot progression. If you've watched these types of movies, you know how it goes. It's like if you're watching a Fast and Furious movie, you kind of can get the gist and how it's gonna go. Explosions, fast cars, you know, a scene where the villain is like on the car shooting and like stuff, and then they're chasing them. You're expecting that. Now, of course, each movie has its own individuality to it that makes it better than the others, and this one has moments. And that's probably why it has such a high audience score rating, especially if this is the first type of movie that someone has seen like in this subgenre of romance, then they're gonna be like, I love it. Because even me, like, I can acknowledge I was like, this is so mediocre, but I'm still almost crying. It's like I never, very few movies that are mediocre can give me the same level of emotion as like stronger 8 or 9 out of 10 movies, which this is definitely not, even though the audience may disagree with me, you know. But if I had to give it a rating, I would have to give it honestly a 6.5, and it's very weird because usually when I give a 6.5, people are like, maybe I shouldn't watch it. But this is a likable 6.5. Like, you will only think it's a 6.5 if you watch lots of movies and you know how things go and you can see subtleties and you can pick it apart. If you're just a casual moviegoer, you're gonna like this movie. Of course, if this is your type of movie, because not this subgenre of romance isn't for everyone. Now, if you want to watch a movie in this subgenre that is actually good and actually compelling, but you're not sure, you know, you watch this one, you're just like, I don't know if I want to continue with this subgenre, I have a review on Firebird right here, and it is a movie in this subgenre that is like the better version of this movie. Now, please remember, R to PG-13, Firebird's R, this is PG-13, so maybe not for younger audiences, but Firebird, you can watch my review of Firebird and then you can make up your own decision. But either way, I'll see you in the next video.